Back with another video. I hope that you all have had a beautiful December with your family, loved ones, and self. And now we are going to get into a topic that I love to discuss, all about astrology and the layers of the soul. This is a channel that delves with astrology, African spirituality, numerology, because it's all about knowing self. Anytime you are doing research about yourself, that is an aspect of Ori in a sense, because Ori is your soul and your connection to the higher aspects of who you are. In this lifetime, you are not just your Odu, you are not just your sun sign, your life path number, but you are an intricate alchemical layer of all of these things. Thus the reason why I've given birth to this book entitled Ori, Finding Your Purpose and Improving Your Life, Working with Your Oversoul. In this particular book, we discuss not only ancient Ifa and Orisha tradition principles about your head and its connection to your destiny and who you are, but we discuss it from a numerological standpoint, we discuss it from an astrological standpoint, and so forth and so on. In this particular video, I want to focus on the chapter within the book that talks about your north nodes. Because if you do not have access to an Ifa or Orisha practitioner, or you're not sure if it's even for you, you're skeptical, you're still kind of on the fence about it, then at least you can know yourself from a numerological and astrological standpoint. Because, you know, we always stress the importance of honoring your ancestors and your spirit guides and knowing who your Orisha is. But if you don't know who you are at your essence and you don't better understand and get confirmations on things you already know and why things are happening and unfolding the way they are in your life, then you will miss half the journey on whatever path you're going, whether that's Islam, Sufism, Voodoo, whatever it is, Orisha lifestyle. To know yourself, you get a more better integrated and balanced perspective on everything else that's going on in your life. So the old dues you receive with your life path and ceremonies, it will only make more sense and correlate to what your birth chart and your numbers are saying about you. I do once again apologize for my delay. I have just been going all 2020. You know, I completed the Intro to Tarot book this year and this book, which I completed within 2 weeks. So, you know, my mind and my soul always wants to go, but my human body, because I'm encased in a human body, it was saying stop. I need rest your mind, relax, recuperate. And so that is what I've been doing. But I'm back with another long video for you all, for those of you who love my longer videos. And I've done this unlisted so that I can get to the point and not, you know, have to stop and speak and do all of that. But once again, I still have a discussion coming for you all with the live streams. This particular book and the Ori workshop class can be purchased on guidesandgoals.com. I will leave the information in the description box below. And if you want to know more about North Nodes, I will leave a North Node calculator in the description box below as well. But give me a few hours after this video uploads to get that on there. You do need to know your time of birth. There are different free charts online that you can use and utilize, but it's always better to enlist some sort of astrologer or someone who's an expert in helping you better interpret your chart, your synastries, your conjunctions, and getting all complicated with your houses and things. So you may want to enlist an astrologer to help you better understand yourself in all aspects. Because the North Node is not a planet, it's a node of the moon along with your South Node. Your South Node gives clues to who you were in a past life or what type of person you were. It does not mean you were the sun sign of that particular South Node. It just means that's how you used to act like the characteristics of that sign. Your North Node is your direction you're supposed to go in this life. It does not mean you're supposed to be that you're not supposed to be yourself or be your sun sign. It means you're supposed to handle certain things, opportunities, and challenges in your life the way your North Node sign would do it in a positive way. So for example, so I won't confuse you, if your North Node is in Aries, that means in a past life, your South Node was in Libra. So that means you've been probably too nice, too diplomatic, too codependent. So you need to go towards the head of the snake, Rahu Ketu, which is your north node, and you need to handle situations in a positive way in Aries would. Not the negative selfish aspects of Aries, but the positive aspects of the Aries sign. You need to handle things more like they would. It doesn't mean don't be, you know, what you are. Now, a lot of people, they'll say, well, my north node is in Aries, but I'm a sun sign Libra, etc. Whatever your north node is, so it kind of conflicts. That is when you want to hire an astrologer to help you better understand how to balance your energies, because there's some sort of karmic balance that you will have to do in this life. Also, the north nodes, looking at those and all of your other planets, I'm sorry, even though north node isn't a planet, it can get complicated because of the houses. So someone could have north node in Leo in the first house, where someone else could have north node in Leo in the 10th house, etc., etc. So everyone's experience of that north node will be unique. The north node runs through the different signs, all 12 signs within the astrological birth chart. Another thing I would like to suggest to you is it does not hurt to look at both your Western and Vedic chart, because you will find some truths in both. Some things you will resonate with, some things you won't resonate with, but it doesn't help to, it doesn't hurt to know, you know, as much as you can about yourself. Like I say, it will save you a lot of time registering for a college major that really doesn't fit your destiny, marrying a person you're not supposed to marry, dating a person you're not supposed to date, living in a state you're not supposed to live in, or, you know, just doing things that weren't really in your karmic framework. Once again, your south node of the moon would be your past life energy. I repeat, that does not mean if your south node is in Aquarius, you were an Aquarius in a past life. That just means you you had more characteristics like that, to where you would behave like an Aquarius over many lifetimes. You've mastered your south node. And south node not only deals with your past life, how you were in a past life, it also deals with, you know, your comfort zone. You know, when things get tough and you're not up for the challenge, that's the comfort zone you kind of back up and shrink into, but that leads to a lack of fulfillment. So before you blame, you know, juju or ancestral curses or egbe for causing disruptions in your life, you may want to look and see if you are living in your true node or your north node, or the head of the serpent, as they call it in Vedic astrology. You may want to see if you're being true to your north node. That is a big clue to who you are. Once again, if you cannot find your north node due to lack of knowing your day of birth or time of birth, I would suggest that you look at your life path and soul urge numbers if you can find at least the day of birth, if anything else. So if you don't know your time of birth, but you know the date of birth, you want to kind of play around with the calculator of the north node and read the characteristics of the north node and south node and see which one resonates with you the most, so you'll kind of get a ballpark guesstimation of what your north and south nodes is. Once again, this gives a clue to, you know, you having your fulfillment in this life. But the problem is, it can be very uncomfortable getting over that hump and coming out of the comfort zone of the south node, because that's how you're used to handling things. So now it's time to go the opposite direction and do things different. Your north node will always be the opposite sign of south node. So north node Aries, south node Libra, north node Taurus, south node Scorpio, north node Gemini, south node Sagittarius, etc., etc. So let's get started. I'm going to use my tarot cards to kind of as a crutch to describe what I'm talking about with these different signs, but don't take it literally. I'm just kind of using it as, you know, a basis to better describe what I'm trying to say. Once again, we talk about the soul urge, north node, and all of that in this book, and I will leave the links in the description box. So let's make sure, I'm looking at my notes. Hold on one second. Okay, so once again, your north node and south node is not your sun sign. The south node does not mean that was your sun sign in a past life. Your north node and south node is something totally different, but it is extremely important in order to maximize your life purpose and why you came all the way down here to incarnate and learn your lessons in this life. So if you are north node Aries, that means your south node is in Libra. That would indicate that in a past life, you used to act somewhat like a Libra. The positive and negative aspects of Libra. You could have been charming and diplomatic, but the fault is you could have been stuck in a lot of codependent patterns, feeling like you can't move unless, your lover moves or your family member moves or whatever they do, you had to consult with them first. And if they didn't do it, even if they were all wrong, you would still stick with them no matter what. Even if within your inner self, you already knew if it didn't feel right, you still went with what they said, and you went with the status quo quite a lot, to where you probably felt really bad and regretful inside that you didn't take a stand. An example of that would be like in a past life. Say, for instance, you were a person that was against slavery, but you saw people being tortured, but you just kind of laughed, like when everyone was torturing slaves and things like that. And you were giggling, but inside you were like, dang, I know this isn't right. But you still kind of went with the crowd anyway, because where would you go if you didn't have your crowd? So there's a need to overcome the principle of codependency with the Libra South Node, Aries North Node. You have to learn to check your inner self about what you feel about things inside, and live your truth and speak your truth, and don't be afraid of being abandoned by your family, lover, clique, and group if you don't agree. Now, a lot of Libras get a bad reputation for people thinking, oh, they're so weak and docile. That's not true. There are a lot of strong Libras. But the thing is, you don't want to be so diplomatic, charming, and worried about what other people think to the point you're not being true to yourself. Because when that happens, as an Aries North Node, Libra South Node, you're going to find that you don't get the respect or appreciation you deserve when you're pandering too much, or you're trying to keep the peace, or you're sweeping things under the rug. With the Aries North Node, it is time to confront those things in your family pathology and your bloodline that people wanted to deny and, not face. It is time to face the music. It is also time for you to be in the driver's seat. It is time for you to be in control, kind of like the Emperor energy, which usually represents Aries and Taurus. And you want to be the leader. You want to be a decision maker. And not only that, you don't want to kind of vacillate like a Libra sitting on the fence, like, well, what do I want to do? You cannot procrastinate with this North Node. You have to make a decision and be confident in your decision. Even if you find later it was a mistake, then you can go into your Aries South Node and say, you know what, I apologize. That wasn't a good decision, but I thought it was right at the time. So you want to do things more passionately, more less shallow. You want to go a little deeper into things. You want to be less codependent, and you want to depend more on yourself and trust yourself in your decisions. Trust your gut instinct and charge forward. Don't be afraid to take risks. Also, with the Aries North Node, you're going to have to learn a lot of painful lessons in this life on standing for what's right, even if those you love, they're against you. If they say, you're wrong for standing up for this issue, and you have to stand up anyway. You have to take a stand. This is where you're going to feel proud of yourself. This is going to build self-esteem. Not saying you don't have high self-esteem, but you're going to feel so much better about yourself. You're going to feel 10 feet tall when you take a stand. Even if those you love and want to be around, if they turn their back, you're going to be true to yourself. They may not like it at first, but they will respect you, and they will appreciate you, and they will trust you, because they are going to intuitively know that you're being disingenuous. You're not being authentic. So in this life, when you say yes, they're going to know that you really mean it, because that's what you really feel in your inner convictions, rather than, oh, I just said yes because everyone else said yes, or I voted for this person because everyone else voted for them. No, it's time for you to be a trailblazer. It is time for you to be a trend setter, not a trend follower, because Libra's all into fashion and beauty. Now it's time for you to set out and charge into uncharted territory for you, your bloodline, and your soul group, and to be the leader, and to be confident in the decisions you make, without repeating myself too much. Taking risks. That might mean you may need to move away from the family group. Not saying you leave the ones you love, your loved ones and friends and things like that, but you need to lead them. Not leave them, abandon them. No. Lead them. It's time for you to be the lead and take a stand, and life is waiting for you. If your soul was not capable of this, no matter how uncomfortable it is, then you would not have incarnated in this lifetime. If you don't master these principles of taking charge and standing up for yourself and using your backbone, you're going to have to come back and do it again. and you're going to go back. A very disappointed ancestor, so lean into it no matter how uncomfortable it is. Go towards your north node of Aries. Once again, it doesn't mean be selfish. It doesn't mean starting fights or being confrontational or this or that. It just means take the positive aspects and move forward into that energy. You have already mastered Libra. Now it's time to master the principles of Aries. Whew, catch my breath. Next up, Taurus North Node, which means you have a Scorpio South Node. In a past life, you could have been very suspicious of people. You may have used your sexual magnetism to allure people and draw them in. A lot of people with Scorpio South Node, they get a bad, people kind of stereotype them for saying in a past life you were a prostitute, or you were a madam, or you were some sort of pimp, or someone that facilitated gain through sex or through manipulation. They're also known to get the reputation of in a past life you were someone like Marie Laveau, or you're someone that used black magic in a not always a positive way, but both negative and positive, both the left and right hand path, and using covert means. It could also they also have the reputation of kind of being, you know, the kept wife that kind of manipulated her way into the marriage or arranged marriage, things such as that. Also very vindictive in many other ways. In this lifetime, you could have carried those scorpionic type of energies into your childhood and into your current, you know, if the going gets tough, you may kick back into that Scorpio survival mode, to where it's like, I'll take anyone down, I'll seduce anyone down in order to get what I need. But in this lifetime, you could do that because you've mastered it. You're a master at it, but it's not going to bring you the same fulfillment that it has brought you in past lives. There is a need to live more in the light and keep it simple. When I think of the Scorpio South Node needing to go into their Taurus North Node, I think of somebody that was kind of like maybe a runaway teen who, you know, did certain did certain things to survive and to go along, get along. Maybe having to rob a store to eat, and kind of in the alley eating something. I'm thinking of a movie like that, or, you know, a girl who was forced into, you know, prostitution, all different things like that. But in this lifetime, whatever it is, it may not have been that bad. It could have dealt with you losing a loved one due to death, all of those different things, or fascination with the occult. In this life, it's time to come out of the cold of survival mode and having to fight and seduce your way to what you want. And it's time to, it's kind of like life has taken you kind of in like an orphan child and said, come in, my child. I will give you a sweater and a blanket and a warm meal. You can now be comfortable. That is what your Taurus North Node is beckoning to you. Come out of the cold. Come out of survival mode. You don't have to bewitch people to get what you want. It's time for you to keep it simple, and it's time to earn material assets that you have earned by the work of your own hand and efforts that can't be taken away from you. So Scorpio in 8th house energy, it deals with other people's money. In this lifetime, your fulfillment will come when you have certain businesses and things such as that, to where you have worked for them and you have acquired them and you have saved certain things. You have mastered the depths of mystery. Now it is time for you to, you know, just, how do I put this? Have a more optimistic, simplistic view of life. Enjoying, smelling the flowers, incorporating your 5 earthly senses and enjoying things, being in the moment, not being as suspicious, not being as covert, but telling people like it is, and it is what it is. There's nothing hidden underneath the surface. There's no hidden agenda, hidden motive, that everything is all out on the table, balanced life. So with this particular North Node, Taurus North Node, Scorpio South Node, there's a need for you to do things a little bit more by the book, which you may not be used to. You may be used to kind of bewitching people or hypnotizing them with your eyes to get what you want. But this time, it's time to say what you mean and mean what you say in a traditional way. It's not necessarily talking about, you know, being a goody two-shoes or anything like that, but being a little more traditional. The family, the home life, the stability, planting roots somewhere, coming out of survival mode. And it will also deal with principles on financial self-sufficiency. This means if someone passes away and they don't leave you an inheritance, you are not to fall apart with that. You are to create your own legacy and your own inheritance that will last for generations and lifetimes. You want to be able to acquire things that cannot be taken away because of someone else, had power over you, or you had power over them and it wore off. You want to have things where it's like, I earned that. You can't take that from me. You can't kick me out this house. You can't take this and that. So that's what your life principles will be all about. Keeping it basic, keeping it simple, keeping it optimistic, and acquiring things through business, money management, and dependability. So that's the Taurus, yes, the Taurus North Node. Let me see if I have any other notes about that North Node. You're not supposed to be living in survival mode. Time to thrive using practical means rather than just intuitive, covert manipulation. You need to create safety and stability in your own material assets and legacy. Yes. Okay, so let's move on into the Gemini North Node, Sagittarius South Node. So with this particular node, in past lives, you could have been someone that was like a college professor or an expert, someone that was an explorer, a pirate, or anyone that liked adventure and things such as that. In this lifetime, it is time for you to be more of the student rather than the master teacher. It is time for you to be not only curious about the subject matter and the major, but it's also time for you to be curious about the students around you who are learning. It is time for you to kind of take a more childlike, playful approach and, not just live in that know-it-all type of state of mind because you've mastered that. It's time to be curious about other things. Another thing with the Gemini North Node of Sagittarius South Node is, if you're into exotic things and exotic people in this life, it's time for you to focus more on on the people around you, your own ethnic group. And that doesn't mean discriminate or be prejudiced. That means, don't reach past the people who are in your community around you or or in your ancestral group to help other people across the globe when you have people starving next door to you or across the street or in your community. There needs to be a lot of more community mentorship and either working with children or working with teenagers or siblings. You may want to look into, if you like school teaching, you may want to kind of teach, high school, but you want to also mentor them if that's safe. If you feel like you're safe enough to do that to where they would be protected, then you would need to do something like that. Also, with the Gemini North Node, you need to be more charming. With the Sagittarius North Node, they tend to just kind of speak matter-of-factly on the chalkboard. But with the Gemini North Node, it's time to use a little charm with what you say. You know how they say, Sagittarius will put their foot in their mouth. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it's time to have a little more sense of humor. You can speak your truth with that Sagittarian South Node, but it's time to use Gemini to kind of put a little charm and humor onto what you say. So lighten up a little bit, play a little more, and remember, focus on those closer to your community. Let's see if I have any more. Yes, once again, being curious about other people, not just subject matter. So engage with those around you. Learn to master the awkwardness of small talk, which you may not like or you may not be comfortable with, because that's going to be some sort of benefit to you. And also relating to people who are younger than you, other generations, and not looking down on them. Okay, let's see. Next up, Cancer North Node. Capricorn South Node. In past lives, you could have been very enterprising, very business-minded, very emotionally detached, and very focused on your goals of come hell or high water, no matter who you had to step on. And you could have been so focused on taking care of business or how you look to your community or, gaining status in life to where you could have neglected those who, your loved ones, your children who needed you, or they just wanted to get validation from you or hear you tell them, hey, I'm proud of you, or give them a hug. I was in this particular book that I wrote, I mentioned in the North Node area that Michelle Obama has Cancer North Node, Capricorn South Node, and she's a Capricorn Sun. And I saw a video of her where her daughter, who's a Cancer, Malia, was trying to come in the office and hug her, and she kept looking down writing on her desk and she didn't even look up. That was an opportunity for her to live in her north node of Cancer. So in this lifetime, it's time for you to put the briefcase down, turn off the laptop and hug your children, or if you don't have children, find someone to nurture, even if it's a puppy or a garden. But it's time for you to nurture, and it's time for you to put your heart into those who you're responsible for. So because Cancer is the sign of the mother energy, the matriarch. So it's time for you to be a little more compassionate and to pay more attention and be more present in your intimate relationships. It's time for you to open your heart a little more. It doesn't mean not to be a leader. It means to stop focusing on the business outside of your home and focus more on the business inside of your home. Kind of like this 10 of Cups, happy home energy. So if you have an opportunity to have that happy home life, if you're able to, then you want to create that as much as possible. And even if it doesn't come in the form of the husband and the 2 children and the picket fence, then you can find those who are your kindreds and create a family with them. Create an intimate setting to where there's lifelong establishment, people and things that you can hold on to. Be more engaged, be more concerned with what your loved ones are going through. Ask them, how they're feeling about things. And don't just tell them what you think they should do in order for their status to be, exalted, give them advice on what to do based on how it's going to make them feel emotionally. Because you can give your loved ones all the material things that they need and put them in a nice home, in a nice neighborhood, and you have all this status and respect. But if there's coldness and there's no warmth, if there's no love and nurturing, then you are going to find yourself not as fulfilled as you have before, because your soul is telling you it's time to slow down and warm it up a little bit. Give a hug, be more emotional, be more vulnerable. You have acquired what you need to acquire. Doesn't mean don't focus on business at all. It just means to nurture a little more. So if you do have a business, be a little more warm to those who are your employees, or those that you work with, who you consult with. Be a little more warm to them. Don't be just so rude. And you know how people send an email and they're like, at the end they'll say best, and you want to say something a little more warm than that, like hi, and maybe put a heart emoji. You want to warm it up a little bit. That's what I'm trying to say. Put your heart into it. So next up, let's see, we have, hold on one second, Cancer, Leo. Leo. That is my north node. Leo, north node, Aquarius, south node. In past lives, we have been used to being kind of, I don't want to say cold, but a little bit more objective and impartial in how we go about things in life. All about being fair, kind of like a Libra. And, welcoming people, being a humanitarian, to where we never really took the time to figure out, what is it that makes me special from my group? What's my special talent that puts me in the spotlight in front of other people? So with this placement, it's time for you to shine. Whatever talents that you have, it's time for you to come from behind the director's chair and the producer's chair, and it's time for you to be the actor on the center stage. It's time for you to open your heart a little more and to receive help. You have helped so many people. Now it's time to receive love, receive admiration, receive help, which is extremely uncomfortable. But going into that north node, it will be your soul's fulfillment. Once again, talking about being out front and center. You need to be either in front of somebody's camera, or you need to just be living in a way where there's, I don't want to say showboating like the 6 of Wands, but you want to live in a way to where it's out loud and it's passionate. You also want to pamper yourself, and you want to put yourself first a little more rather than being detached from what it is that you want. Someone who's more of an Aquarian south node, they can be a little more scientific and analytical, where right now it's time for you to get personal with people. Don't just be like objective, but get in with them and get involved with them in some sort of way. Let's see. This could mean having some sort of podcast, having some sort of YouTube channel, hint, hint, or, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say acting necessarily, but it's time for you to be front and center. It's time for you to be distinguished from your group, and it's time for you to be noticed. So it's kind of like that Aries north node where they have to lead the group, whereas not necessarily about you leading the group, but you shining within the group. You have to shine and stick out. Another example of Leo north node is Beyonce, she's a Leo North Node. So she was with her group Destiny's Child, and eventually, that's the Aquarius South Node. Now it's all about her doing her own solo thing. So an example of Leo North Node would be going solo after being in a group so long. Not to betray the group that you're in, but to shine, because there's certain talents that you have mastered, and it's time for them to be on display, because it is going to help humanity in some sort of way, and it will also help your soul to progress, because you've mastered the Aquarian type of energy. Now it's time to take the principles of a Leo and get more personal, get more warm, and shine, shine, shine. Look your best and do your best, and don't be afraid of taking compliments, something that has been very difficult for me with my Aquarian South Node, but go for it. When you allow yourself to open up and shine like the sun, like a Leo does, that is when your soul will find its fulfillment. Okay. And you can still be humble while doing that also, by the way. Allowing support in, rather than just always being the supporter. Next up, let's see, we did Cancer, Leo, Virgo. Virgo North Node. In a past life, you were more like a Pisces person with your South Node, or you tend to handle things like a Pisces when you get in your comfort zone. So in this life, it's time to take off the cross, get on up off the cross, stop all that self-sacrificing, stop all that martyrdom, stop putting people first to the point that where you are neglected. Stop being the scapegoat, stop being the sacrifice, and focus on order, duty, and the efforts of your hands, the work of your hands. It is time to be less sensitive and more practical. It is time to put all of that mismatch, artistic Piscean energy into order. Put your ducks in a row and align. That also means having to, hold on, let me make sure, yep, I got this right. You may have to kind of back away from kind of being so in touch with the problems of humanity and being so empathic, to kind of getting some space from people that drain your energy or confuse your energy, because you can kind of embody, the Pisces South Node can kind of embody other people so much, or take on other people's energy to where they forget who they are in the mix of it. Kind of like losing their identity, their own personal identity and principles and what they stand for in the crowd. Kind of like Libra South Node, but with this, sometimes you have to take time to yourself to figure out what it is you want and what you believe in. And you will also have to do a little discrimination, a little discriminating with this particular North Node, Virgo North Node. Time to be more practical, time to live by routine and a schedule, and time to back off when you need to back off from certain people who are confusing your energy. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Time for duty, and also it's time to be a little more discriminate about what you eat, the type of people you hang with, and it's time to be a little more purified. I will say it's time to purify yourself in the lake of Minnetonka. Just kidding, but it's time to live more pure. It's time to live more organic. So you may want to incorporate more organic foods, because Virgo deals with health also. So doing things more of a natural way may help. You may want to back away from anything that causes you to escape from reality, because with Virgo, they deal with reality in an organized manner. So don't escape from reality. With that Pisces South Node, in a past life, it could have been someone who passed away from a suicide or overdose, or just being in denial of what was going on around them. Kind of like that Neptunian illusion. But it's time for you to face reality and tackle it bit by bit with a schedule and with order and a routine. That is how your soul will find its fulfillment, with that Virgo North Node, going away from the Pisces South Node. So whenever you get in your comfort zone and you just want to embrace everybody, back it up, go towards that North Node and behave more like a Virgo would in how they would act out certain things. So study the Virgo modus operandi, how they handle things. Next up, Libra North Node, Aries South Node. So it's the exact opposite of the first sign I talked about. With this particular sign, in past lives, you could have been a very selfish person. You could have been rude. You could have been very confrontational with certain things. And you could have been adventurous to where you didn't care about what your loved one or your maid or your or what your group thought. So now it is time for you to master diplomacy. It's time for you to be fair. In a past life or with your family ancestral pathology, you all could have been, you or the people you love could have been the type of people where even if they were wrong, you wanted them to take, even if you were wrong, you wanted them to take your side. You're supposed to be my sister, you better take my side. Whereas in this life, you got to master objective impartiality and fairness. If you are wrong, you have to apologize and say you were wrong. If your loved one was wrong, you cannot silently take their side. You have to say, hey, this was wrong. But you have to say it in a diplomatic way. You have to put a little honey on it this time with the Libra North Node. So with that also, there needs to be less selfishness and more focus on your interpersonal relationships, intimacy. Okay, you've mastered seeing yourself with the Aries South Node. Now it's time for you to see the magic in others. It's time for you to appreciate the beauty and intelligence in others. It's time to admire someone else beside yourself. We know you're all great, we're all clapping for you, but now it's time for you to recognize that in someone else. It is also time for you to cooperate and compromise with the group. You cannot be an extremist. You cannot be an extremist in this lifetime and be like, my way or the highway. No, you have to learn the principles of compromise in this life, which will be very, very difficult for you with the Aries South Node. You're going to also have to use a little more charm. We're not saying lie. We're just saying kind of putting a little honey on the truth. Open your heart a little more to your lover. Don't be so, well, this is how it is, take me as I am. No, kind of get cute for your lover. Put a little makeup on and, do your hair and all this other good stuff. Or put your cologne on, put on your nice debonair suit. Or play Usher, who's a Libra. All that good stuff. And get a little more romantic with things. Be a little more smooth with what you do. It is also time with the Libra North Node to choose your battles. Walk away from conflicts where it's just a conflict of ego and no one's going to win. It's time for you to choose your battles. When it's time for you to stand up and fight, like the Aries North Node, the time will come, but you still need to use tact and diplomacy, like the Justice card. Choose your battles. Just because someone steps on your shoe or they talk about you or they troll you or say something, choose your battles. Like, oh, I'm good on that. Believe what you want to believe. Just kind of bow out gracefully. So know when to tip away and to turn your back when someone's trying to, do a clash of egos with you. Kind of put the ego aside and use charm and bow out gracefully. And that is how your soul will find its fulfillment. Making sure I don't have any extra notes on this. Also with the Libra North Node, you're going to have to learn balance. Balance between work and home life. Balance between taking care of yourself, because you're still supposed to take care of yourself, and balance between taking care of others. Don't just put all the love on yourself. You got to pour a little bit on those that are also within your group, because realize you are still one with those you're still one with all of humanity, but you still got to figure out how to care for others without taking too much for yourself. You must learn to share with this particular North Node. Once again, go away from extremism and ego challenges that lead to nowhere. Learn to see others' point of view, even if you don't agree. Just agree to disagree gracefully. Next up, Scorpio South Node. Scorpio North Node, Taurus South Node. The exact opposite of what we talked about at the earlier part of this video. So for you, in a past life, you were more like a Taurus. You could have been cheap. You could have been, you kind of overindulged in all of the finer things or the good food and the quality of the five senses that the eyes could see, the fingers could touch, the nose could smell all the perfumes and stuff. But now it's time for you to go deeper than what the five senses have allotted for you and allowed you. And it's time to tap more into your sixth sense, into the depths. It's time to go, it's time to go from the surface of Earth to what's going on underneath the surface in the subconscious. It's time for you to quit missing cues when someone's winking at you and trying to flirt with you. And it's time to kind of, give them a little shoulder and give them a little seduction and magnetism. Don't be so meat and potatoes. You want to go deeper. You want to tap into your sexual magnetism. Also, with this particular North Node, do not be afraid of confrontation, because you are just not necessarily afraid, but don't back away from confrontation just because you don't care. Engage your emotions more. You have to tap into what you feel, and instead of just saying, oh, I'm not going to bother with that, and being too patient like a Taurus, it's time for you to express yourself and express your depths. Another thing with this particular North Node is you have to be careful of being kind of a bigot to where you're like, oh, I'm better than these people because I'm Cuban or I'm Nigerian or whatever you are. You want to not be like that. You want to be more, you want to realize that there are depths to other people, not just your group, not just your community, but that other groups are just as valid. Because with the stubbornness of Taurus, you can feel like, okay, well, if you're not Cuban like me, if you're not Haitian like me, if you don't believe like I do, if you're not a Christian like me, then you're wrong. Everything is just so wrong. Whereas with your Scorpio North Node, you have to find the depths, and you have to find God in every walk of life, whether that's with a Buddhist, a Ifa practitioner, a Muslim, whatever it is. You have to see beneath the surface to what's really going on, and finding the divinity in all people. If you understand what I mean. It's also time for you to open up and be generous, and quit worrying about holding on to money so tight. Like, what's going to happen if I don't pay for this? It's going to come to you. As soon as you open up, when you give, more is given to you. There's a saying, you get to keep what you give away. So there's a need to open those Four of Pentacles Taurus fists and be more generous. Be more philanthropic. I hope I'm saying that right. Be a philanthropist. Be charitable. Because with the Scorpio North Node, they know all about, with the South Node Scorpios, they know all about being in survival mode. They know what it feels like to have to survive, or to have to, ride the waves of conflict. So you're going to have to master that in this life. So someone presents you with an important conflict, like a family member. They're trying to tell you that something's bothering them, and you just kind of get stubborn and clench up like a Taurus. That's going to leave you with a lot of regret and lack of fulfillment in your soul. If you leave this earth plane and your family's trying to confront you about something that's bothering them, and you just want to back off and avoid the conflict. No, you got to dig in, put 10 toes deep in the pool, and go all the way in and engage in whatever it is in a diplomatic manner. Don't catch no case or nothing like that, but it's time for you to dig into your Scorpio North Node and to go deeper. Don't be afraid to jump in the pool. Don't be afraid to get wet. Don't be afraid to get your Taurus sweater all wet and soaked. Jump all the way in and engage. When you love hard. When you hate, I don't want to say hate hard, but whatever you feel, allow yourself to feel it and process it, and not judge yourself for it. Don't be cut off from your feelings. Don't be so cold. Don't be so stubborn. Don't be so like, my daughter doesn't love me, or my son doesn't love me, but at least I got all my purses, at least I got my house. Don't be like that. Don't be miserly. You can't take anything with you. And the principles of Scorpio will let you know, because it deals with the principles of death and transformation, that you cannot take all of that with you. So come on up out of that. Tap into your ancestral energies. You may want to kind of look more into crystals and your intuition and things like that, and go deeper than what the eyes can see and what the senses can detect. Tap into your sixth sense with the Scorpio North Node, Taurus South Node. You've acquired all of the businesses and things like that. Now it's time to go deeper into the depths of your soul. Alrighty, let's see. Embrace change. Embrace embrace your ancestors. Embrace transformation. Taurus doesn't like change. Let's see. Embrace your sexual magnetism. Embrace seduction and allure when it's necessary. Pick up on other people's cues. Don't just take people for what they say literally. Look beneath the... Pick up on what they're not saying as much as what they are saying. Look at their body language. Be more observant. Use your intuition and your hunches to figure out what they really mean. Alrighty. Next up, Sagittarius North Node, Gemini South Node. In a past life, or in this life, especially in childhood, you could have gotten by on your wits and your humor, and you could have gotten away with just kind of skimming the surface of a subject matter without having to really have an in-depth knowledge of it. Like, say for instance, if someone's delving in astrology and they don't know anything past what everyone's sun sign is. Now in this life, it's time for you to figure out what the houses are, what the stelliums are, what the conjunctions are, what the squares are. Dive deep in whatever it is that you do. If you have a subject that you are really good at, that you have mastered, go deeper into it. If you're an open heart surgery, keep studying more and more as of time changes and innovations happen in the medical field, and go deeper into what it is that you're doing. If you are a hairstylist, it's time to take some more classes. It's time to always study. And also with this particular node, you want to teach what you have mastered. Don't just keep it all to yourself and judge people. Instead of judging, you must teach with the Sagittarius North Node. It's not time to be all silly and in the crowd with the students and cracking up and being a class clown. It's time to buckle down and be the master, because the Sagittarian North Node is the direction of the master teacher. It's time for you to teach what you have learned in this particular lifetime. It's time for you to get serious about what it is that you have come to contribute to this life. Also, with the Sagittarian North Node, you're the exact opposite of the Gemini North Node. You could have been someone who's very community-minded, like, okay, I'm Dominican, I don't want to worry about these people over here. I'm this particular ethnic group, I don't want to worry about these people. But now it's time for you to buckle down and embrace more exotic things. Embrace that we are one globally. So you want to look kind of like the world card. This may involve you taking travel to a foreign country after the pandemic, of course, right? But it's time for you to maybe try some new exotic ethnic foods, make some new ethnic friends, kind of branch out. If you're having a problem saying, oh, I can't find somebody within my own ethnic group or my community, well, go move out or take a long trip or date someone outside of your group for a change. You know, maybe someone that speaks a different language, learn a foreign language. That's all of the principles of the Sagittarian North Node. Take a master class. Keep hammering at something. Don't give up. Finish what you start. Go far. Expand your thinking beyond your community. Maturity is also part of the Sagittarian North Node. Excuse me. Also, speak your truth. Where Gemini, they'll duck and dodge the truth, or they don't want to talk about it, and they'll just change the subject, and they'll kind of play a magician type of witty hocus pocus. Now you see them, now you don't think. No, stand there and speak your truth. That is the Sagittarian North Node. With the Capricorn North Node, Cancer South Node, in a past life, you could have been an overbearing parent, usually an overbearing mother, or someone that held on to family too tight. If you were not the overbearing mother or the overbearing father, you could have been over-mothered or over-fathered, to where, you know, if your family didn't approve of something, then you're not going to do it, or you just stayed under your parents' thumb for so long. In this lifetime, it's time to not abandon your family, but it's time to embrace your business goals, embrace your status goals, embrace things outside of the home life so that you can bring home the bacon. Don't with this particular North Node, you don't want to be the person that's like, well, you know, I had children, so I'm not going to go back to school. I'm not going to start my business because I have these children. No, you have to figure out a way to go after your business endeavors. If you want to start a business, if you want to, you know, so-called level up in some area of your life, you must still do this, because if you don't, you are going to be probably very mean to your children, or you're going to either live vicariously through them, or you're going to resent yourself or your spouse or your children in some sort of way, or your parent. If you let your parent control your whole life, you're going to resent them. If you have Capricorn North Node and you're still allowing your family to kind of control you or treat you like a puppet, you, like the Aries North Node, have to take control of your life and control of your business. That means it's time to focus on getting credit improved, getting your business license, and doing things by the book. You also may want to take an etiquette course. You may want to take some sort of public speaking course or anything such as that, because that's going to feed your Capricorn North Node, which is going to feed your soul fulfillment in this life. So that principle will come up time and time again. Also, not being so, sappy and this and that, but being a little more kind of reserved and, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of put together in the face of a crisis. Let's see what else. This North Node also talks about practicality. Let's see, and compliance with social norms. So that's pretty much it. And I tend to talk about kind of, if you're that Cancer South Node, then you want to be more like the Queen of Pentacles rather than the Queen of Cups. She's focused on her coins. She's going to still be a good mother and take care of things. And then the King of Pentacles, which is an earth sign. So you want to focus on business. Don't just be the father that's just there all the time watching the movies. They're used to you. Focus on bringing them something and leaving them a legacy. So they have to put you in a GoFundMe account when you pass away. Leave them something. You have shown your affection and your love in this lifetime. You have nurtured, nurtured, nurtured. Now it's time for you to give them something they can feel. Give them assets. Give them, I don't know what it is, Bitcoins and investments. Look into those things. You have to think more like a Capricorn and handle things more like a Capricorn with the Capricorn North Node. You have to come out of the Cancer South Node. Let's see. Aquarius North Node. Leo South Node. In a past life, you could have taken everything personal, and you could have been used to being the center of attention. Me, me, me. It's all about me. Look at me. Look at me. See me. Put the camera on me, or whatever it is. And always like in dramatic displays, or heart so open to where nothing else matters. But in this lifetime, it's time to get objective. It's not just about you, Aquarian North Node. It's about the other people in the room as well. In this lifetime, you are going to have to go from being the star actress or actor, and you're going to have to learn now to become the producer or the star singer. Now it's time for you to produce another group and allow someone else to shine. It's time for you to get off the dance floor and become the dance mom. Or it's time for you to come off the football field and become the coach. It's time for you to do what you do and work your jelly from the sidelines, from behind the scenes. Because even if you still get that attention, which you will still attract, it's not going to fulfill you the same way it used to. You'll be like a celebrity where the paparazzi's, taking pictures, and they're blocking and they're getting frustrated because it's not fulfilling you anymore. You've already mastered the stage. Now it's time to get behind the camera of life. It's time to coach. It's time to teach other people how to shine. Doesn't mean you won't still be in the spotlight, but your attention, your recognition, and your appreciation will come when you help others shine along with yourself without having to upstage them in some sort of way. Also, with the Aquarius North Node, once again, taking things less personal and being more objective. So sometimes when someone says something, it's not really about you. It could be about a whole group of people. And, not always getting offended when people tell you something. Learning how to take criticism as well as praise. Coming out of ego. Also detaching a little more from your feelings when they have not served you in this particular lifetime, like falling too deep for somebody and they don't feel that deep. You want to look back and make sure, okay, are they reciprocating in some sort of way, or is it serving me to open my heart so much? Let's see what else. Also, in a past life, you may not have been concerned with the status quo. You may not have been like the Libra South Node, that they just go along and get along. You may not have cared about the status quo anyway. As long as you were the one shining, you didn't care who was in office or who did this or that. But in this lifetime, it's time for you to fight for other causes besides yourself. So once again, it's kind of like when those celebrities, when they have their causes that they do, or their charities and things like that. You want to be more charitable. You want to stand up for something that you believe in other than yourself. And that is where your shine comes in with the Aquarius North Node, Leo South Node. Don't take things personal. And last but not least, with the Aquarius North Node, you want to not only pour into yourself, you want to pour into others. You've poured into yourself, almost like overwatering a plant. Now it's time to let that water drip off and to share it with other people, healing other people, helping other people progress. Now, let's see. We are going into the final node, which is Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node. In past lives, you could have been, cold, detached, and very orderly and very organized, and you worked hard and you were very dutiful and you did your service and you did your job. Now in this lifetime, also, you could have been I don't want to say a snob, but you could have been a person that's like, oh my God, those dirty people over there. I don't want to go around those dirty people. I don't want to go around those drug addicts and those alcoholics, and I'm supposed to keep myself pure, and they're so disorganized, and look at those hippies over there. Now it's time for you to come out your gray suit and your express shirt and put on a dashiki or some sort of hippie boho type of dress and just engage more with humanity without judging them. Oh, those dirty people over there. Oh, those impure people, those immoral people. It's time for you to be like a Pisces and to go, why are they dirty? Why are they immoral? Why do they act the way they do? What is it? You want to go beneath the surface and be like, what is it that caused this person to be on drugs? Or what is it that caused that child to act up in school? It's time for you to be a little more compassionate and empathic, which you most likely have not done in your past lives. Or when someone threatens you in some sort of way, you can go back into, oh, those people over there, judging them. Whereas now it's time for you to look at them as more being one with them in a certain way. Like, put yourself in other people's shoes with the Pisces North Node rather than what you would do or what you would think is best. Remember, there are different aspects of the truth. And, you know, your truth is only one truth. It's time for you to see yourself in others and have compassion for them as you would yourself and not be so discriminating and judgmental of people. It's time to give people the benefit of the doubt with the Pisces North Node. It's time for you to feel more and care more about people that don't think as you do, don't feel as you do, don't believe as you do, don't act as how you would act. They may not be as organized as you. They may not be as perfect as you because you're hard on yourself too. But it's time to not only be a little easier on yourself and be a little more spontaneous and, you know, put the calendar aside sometimes and just allow yourself to flow. But it's also time for you to give the same to others in order for your soul to feel fulfilled. Because you can judge people all you want in this life and discriminate against them and isolate yourself from them. But all you're doing is putting yourself in a prison of isolation, and you're blocking yourself from experiences that could be the greatest abundance for you, the greatest breakthroughs, the greatest blessings or blessings, however you want to call it. So your array is to be a little more one with all people and all things with the Pisces North Node. So I hope that you have enjoyed this particular series. We may go into the numbers. I love talking about the numbers too, but I wanted to give you all this particular video, you know, about the nodes, because this is going to give you a clue on your path in life. And remember, if you don't know your node or you don't understand what it is, enlist an astrologer to help you better interpret it and also figure out what house your nodes lie in, such as the first house, which deals with self. The second house deals with like Taurian like energy, material assets, stability. Gemini, which is third house, which deals with communication, logic. Fourth house, Cancer. Fifth house, Leo, creativity. Sixth house, Virgo, service, duty. Seventh house, Libra, romance, charm. Eighth house, Scorpio, other people's assets, death, transformation, sexuality. Ninth house, Jupiter, which is Sagittarius, energy, higher learning, exploration and expansion. 10th house, business, such as Capricorn. 11th house, Scorpio. I'm tripping. 11th house, Aquarius. Friendliness, thinking more futuristically, thinking more logically, and then 12th house Pisces type of energy. So you want to look at the layers that your node come in. Remember, you are a unique soul, and your destiny is as unique as a blueprint. So even if someone has the same Odu as you, the same sun sign, the same node, there is still a tweak to that. Even if you have an identical twin, you still have your own soul blueprint. So if you have enjoyed this video or you know your North Node, be sure to leave it in the comment section. Let's talk about your experiences with it, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. All right, I love y'all. Peace and blessings, and then we got to get ready for the number 5 year video. All right, bye-bye.